विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः। देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Verse 22. ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगाः दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः। So verse 21 said बाह्यस्पर्शेषु असक्तात्मा विन्दति आत्मनि यत् सुखम् Sabrahma yoga yuktatma etc. etc. The first line in verse 21 described a karma yogi. Bahya sparsheshu asakta atma. Atma means mind here. A mind which is basically free from the attachment to the sensory objects, external objects. That's bahya sparsheshu asakta atma. And definitely that is the disposition of a karma yogi. He is also gaining happiness. The person who is ignorant and not a karma yogi, but a karmi, he is definitely attached to the objects because he looks upon them as a source of happiness, naturally. So he definitely, being extrovert, he tries to fulfill his likes and dislikes called desires and gains various sensory objects and become happy. Whereas this person, Atmani yat sukham vindati, the sukham which is with himself he gains. Karma yogi. I am not talking about a wise person. And we saw in detail in the last class how a source of happiness is just the self, nothing else. But anyway, this person, karma yogi, because of his attitude, gains a happiness through action itself, not by fulfilling likes and dislikes and gaining desirable objects. No. So such a person also gains happiness by doing karma. A certain attitude behind the action will definitely bring this. Because you do an action while in harmony with the Ishvara. in harmony with the manifestation of Ishvara called dharma. Everything is manifestation of ultimately Ishvara. And because Ishvara is abhinna nimittopadana karanam, therefore every law is basically Ishvara, not law of Ishvara. It's a manifestation of Ishvara. And if you say it's a law of Ishvara, then he is a creator of law, then he will be different. But then, well, we are talking about nimitta karanam. No. We say everything is manifestation, and therefore every law is a manifestation of him. So law of dharma also is a manifestation of him, basically Ishvara. And therefore when a person does an action keeping dharma in view, he is in harmony with the Ishvara. When you are in harmony with the Ishvara, that gives you joy. And that is everyone's experience also. When you do something which is supposed to be done in a given situation, at a given time, you feel satisfied. That is everyone's experience. And therefore, he is gaining happiness by this attitude of choosing an action based on dharma rather than based on likes and dislikes. And thereby, well, definitely, so atmani yat sukham vindate. Why I am saying this has already been done. But now this is further again, Bhagavan is going to explain this. Bahya sparsheshu asakta atma. And also Bhagavan is going to explain in this verse 22nd, Brahma Yoga Yukta Atma. Atma, again mind. Well, Yoga Yukta Atma, endowed with. One whose mind is endowed with Brahma Yoga. So whose mind is basically endowed with Brahman, knowledge of Brahman. Yoga means here knowledge. Brahma Yoga means Brahma Jnanam. So one whose mind is well endowed with this knowledge of Brahman. Brahman is Atma. Well, so they know. A wise person. And also not only just wise person, but the person who is exposed to this teaching, Shravan, and who is doing this Shravanam Mananam, he also knows Atma is Brahman. Of course, due to habitual error, well, he takes again the body as a self. That's another thing. Because mind, well, goes by habitual pattern only. Mind definitely takes that thing only. And therefore, he takes body as a self, but he knows very clearly, due to Shravanam and Mananam, he knows clearly that Atma is Brahman. That person also can be taken here now. Anyway, so either a person, a seeker who is exposed to this teaching and has studied for a length of time, or a wise person, either way, well, for such a person, Bhagavan says, Brahma Yoga Yukta Atma, one whose mind is endowed with this knowledge of Brahman. Anyway, so, well, both these words of verse 21, so this Brahma Yoga Yukta Atma and Bahya Sparsheshu Saktatma have been explained here again. What Bhagavan says here, Ehi samsparshajaha bhogaha. Samsparshajaha. Sparsha, well, basically is used only in the sense of touch. When an object of touch comes in contact with the sense of touch, well, we call it sparsha. But we have to take it here in a wider sense. So instead of taking just a sense of touch, take all the sense organs here now and their respective objects. So the contact between the sense organs and the respective objects or desirable objects, when that contact arises between them, definitely samsparsha ja bhoga, samsparshat jayate, by that samsparsha, by that contact between the sense organs and the desirable objects, bhogaha jayante. So bhogaha means the happiness, pleasure. Pleasure definitely arises. Bhagavan says, well, then that is fine. No, dukkha yonayaha. These enjoyments are basically a source of sorrow, not a source of pleasure. The contact between sense object and sense organ is not a source of a happiness or pleasure, it's a source of a potential sorrow. Yoni indicates a potential cause, potential source, etc. Means it is there. You are not able to recognize it, that is a different issue. But you think that it is giving me a pleasure, but actually it is a source of sorrow. So, samsparshajaha bhogaha dukkhayonayaha. It's a source of a sorrow. Well, and how do you say that? How do you say that the sense objects, well, they are a source of a sorrow rather than source of a pleasure? How do you say that? So we have to see in 3 steps. The first step is, all the pleasures, sense pleasures, are always mixed with the sorrow. That's the first criteria, mixed with the dukkham. So, and why are you saying like this? Because to acquire a sense object, basically there is a struggle, there is anxiety till you gain it, and there is a planning involved, there is a tension involved, all this. And therefore, to bring a desirable object in alignment with the particular sense organ is not an easy thing, right? Many sweets are lying somewhere in the sweet shop. It is not. So, I mean, it definitely, before you acquire it and enjoy it, definitely there is a tension, anxiety involved. When will you get it, etc. And therefore, before even acquiring itself, there is a source, there is a sorrow. They call it as a arjane dukkham. Arjanam means in acquiring itself, there is a dukkham, sorrow. That's the first thing. So, this is the beginning. Then second thing is rakshane dukkham. So, once you gain a particular object, desirable object, and you are having a contact through any sense organ also, of course, but you want to retain that object in a given shape, that in a given shape only it is giving you pleasure, not otherwise, right? Sometimes the object loses its, the glory in my eye, then it is no more a source of joy for me. And therefore, so we're basically to keep the desirable object in a given shape itself, well, there is a lot of effort involved. Suppose a house is giving me happiness in a certain arrangement, etc. You have to definitely put an effort to keep in the same order. Otherwise, it doesn't remain as a source of joy. And therefore, rakshane dukkham, to keep them definitely in that given order, so that it can continue to give a happiness, well, you will have to put a lot of effort. And the world being what it is, it continuously changing, sense objects are continuously changing, and therefore it becomes a source of sorrow. So object definitely does not remain in a same shape all the time. And so we lose a charm, it becomes a source of sorrow. So second. Third is viyoge dukkham. When you lose a contact of a desirable object, through a sense organ, of course, there are three ways we lose a contact of a desirable object. Sometime by the process of experiencing itself, we may exhaust the object. And so contact automatically goes away. Like drinking a faluda, right? Drinking a faluda, definitely you are experiencing it, but when you experience, well, definitely it is going to get exhausted. And therefore, viyoge dukkham, once it is exhausted, well, some people used to see also, while drinking itself, they see how much is left over in the glass. Anyway, so how much you drank, then, well, that joy remains away when you keep on seeing how much, you have, it is left over. Anyway, so viyoge dukkham, once it goes away, definitely, once you experience the object and object is exhausted, you definitely will have a sorrow. That's a one. Second thing is you become sometime tired and therefore, well, unable to continue the contact of the sense object. In that case also you lose the contact. That's the second thing. Third thing is sometime your attitude or mood, well, to enjoy goes away. And so you lose the contact. So this is the third thing. So viyoge dukkham. Viyoge dukkham is this, when you lose a contact of a given sense object. That is possible in three ways. Either you experience an exhaust, either you are tired and unable to continue the contact, either your mood changes. While the contact is there, but your mood changes and so you lose the contact. So either way, well, viyoge, so when the object is no more in contact with the sense organ, well, it becomes a source of sorrow. So rakshane dukkham, viyoge dukkham, arjane dukkham. Before acquiring, there is a sorrow. While you are in contact with the object, well, because you want to retain that in a given shape, there is a dukkham, and viyoge also dukkham. When it goes away, either way, well, then also it is dukkham. So this kind of happiness born of contact between sense object and sense organ, well, is only temporary. That's how Bhagavan says, Ehi samsparshaja bhogaha dukkhayonaha. They are basically a potential source of sorrow only. So it leaves you unhappy, that contact. Anyway, so this is a first thing. Sense or objects, sense pleasures are always mixed with pain. This is the first thing. Why Bhagavan says dukkhayonaha, this is one of the reasons. Second thing is, while experiencing that desirable object through sense organs, you get a joy, but limited, very limited. In terms of quantity, I am saying. It's a very limited joy you get. I mean, because all the accessories involved in the process of generating that joy, like the person and the object and the content, which is in given time, space, etc. All the accessories are finite, and therefore the joy generated through that contact also will be finite. And if that is finite, it is fine. It cannot become a source of pain. But I don't want a finite joy. I want something infinite. And therefore, so basically nobody is happy with a finitude, basically. And so, you always look for a then higher possibility, etc. And that is the other reason, that always a Vishayananda always leaves behind you a dissatisfied person. So that's how it becomes a source of sorrow. That's the second reason. And third is, all these objects, sense objects, have an enslaving capacity. It's like a dependence causing drugs, So, like sleep-inducing drugs are there, right? And so, person takes a, sleeping pill for a few days initially. Then, automatically, he is enslaved to that drug. Or a smoker, or a drunkard, anybody. I mean, anything, any object which I look upon as a source of a joy, etc., has a capacity to make me dependent upon that. And that is how they all become crutches for me. So I enjoy through crutches, which I don't like actually. No one likes crutches. And therefore, this is how I have a joy in my life, with thousands of crutches, thousands of objects, around. And the dependency itself is a cause of a sorrow. Sarvam paravasham dukkham. Anything on which I am dependent, will bring a sorrow for me. Because I don't like dependency in any manner. And therefore, this is the third reason. The first reason is, I said, arjane dukkham, rakshane dukkham, viyoge dukkham. Second possibility is that the joy is of a finitude nature. And third thing is, it has an enslaving capacity. It makes me dependent. And so I want to enjoy everything, but independently. But basically sense objects make me dependent upon that. And so that is how, ultimately Bhagavan says, samsparshaja bhogaha. So the contact between sense objects and sense organ, ultimately it is not a source of joy, but source of pain. Anyway, and Bhagavan says, nateshu ramate buddha. The person who understands this, analyze this in this manner, the nature of enjoyments, etc., through this contact, etc., one who understands this, he is a Buddha. Buddha means a wise person. Here we should say it is a discriminative person. He understands the limitation of this ordinary happiness, etc. And therefore he won't go after it. And so what was explained, what was said in verse 21, Bahyas parasheshu asaktatma, one who is not attached to the external objects, etc., one whose mind is free from the attachment towards external objects, has been explained here in this manner. So he is not carried away. That's a description of a karma yogi. So he is not carried away by his likes and dislikes or offenses for external objects. Anyway, and I told you, and everyone wants happiness. One cannot live without happiness. So if he is not attached to the external objects for happiness, then what is his source of happiness? His source of happiness is his attitude behind the action, which I already told you. His attitude of, doing an action based on dharma, etc., will give him a lot of satisfaction. That way, the karma yogi has another source of happiness, not the objects as such. Anyway, and let's now look into the bhashyam. And also said here Adyantavantaha. Adyantavantaha means a temporary, which I told you, it gives a joy. Well, sense objects give a joy which is temporary, which is of the nature of finitude. Adyantavantaha he kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. This discriminative person or a wise person, well, does not revel into that, does not indulge into that. So, Bhashya. Itaha cha nivartayet. Itaha cha. Because of these reasons also, well, this person, well, one should not get lost into these sensory pleasures, especially a seeker. He should not. Nivartayet indicates that there is an advice. It's not advice to the wise person, it's advice to the seeker. So we should take it that way also. The people like us who are in the process of gaining wisdom, for them this has been told. Shravanam Mananam is there enough also. Maybe years of Shravanam Mananam etc. will be there. Total clarity, doubtless knowledge will be there. But this thing, still the objects will be looked upon as a source of joy. So say na nivartayet. Itaha cha nivartayet. Because of these reasons also, since they are the source of sorrow, etc., while this person, the wise, this discriminative person, the seeker, should not indulge into sense objects. It is been told here. So, of course, this has been told previously as a corollary. Bahya sparasheshu asaktatma, etc. But now Bhagavan says in a very clear manner that because of these reasons also, while the discriminative person should not have attachment towards sense object, because they are not source of joy but source of unhappiness. So, Bhashyakara says here, yehi yasmat samsparshajaha vishayendriya samsparshebhyah jataha bhogaha bhuktayah. He yasmat, because of these following reasons also, samsparshajaha. Samsparshajaha has been explained by Bhashyakara as Vishayendriya samsparshebhyah jataha. Vishayendriya. So, Vishaya, desirable object. Indriya, sense organ. So, Vishayendriya samsparsha, contact between them. Through that, jataha, born of that contact. Bhogaha, bhuktayaha, well, joy. Vishayanandaha, we can say. Sensory pleasures. Dukkhayonayaha, well, they are the source of causes of sorrow. Bhashyakara enters into a little technical point. He gives a reason for that. Evate avidyakrtatvat. Bhashyakara says they are the cause of a sorrow because basically born of avidya. Now there's a technical point he brought here. So we have to understand it. Evate, avidyakrtatvat. So, because basically this sense pleasure itself is not a cause of sorrow, really speaking. So, sense pleasure, Vishayananda actually is not a cause of a sorrow, but we convert them into cause of a sorrow. Therefore, our role, our contribution is there in that. And, well, how do we convert them into a source of sorrow? Well, due to wrong perspective. That wrong perspective, in Sanskritam they call mithya jnanam. Wrong perspective is always born of ajnanam. Any wrong perspective is always born of ignorance. In place of a rope, you see a snake, a wrong perspective, born of ignorance of rope. So, Vishayananda means the sense pleasure basically are not a cause of a sorrow, but basically we convert this the sense pleasures into a source of sorrow due to a wrong perspective. Misunderstanding Vishayananda as a Ananda born of sense objects is a wrong perspective. Vishayananda means Ananda given by Vishaya, sense objects. Ananda given by the Vishaya, sense objects, it belongs to the sense objects. That's a wrong perspective. That's all. That's a wrong perspective. Because ultimately Atma alone is a source. I won't go into that because we discussed for the whole session last time. Atma alone is a source of Ananda, But not knowing that, well, a mithya jnanam is there, a wrong perspective is there, that object gives me a happiness. So Vishayananda actually is not a source of sorrow. My own wrong perspective is a source of sorrow. So my attachment to this Vishaya, well, basically is due to this misunderstanding that Ananda, the pleasures are given by the Vishayas. And then they become a cause of dukkham. So Vedantin basically understands this, that even though I enjoy this, all these sense pleasures, but basically if Vishayas goes away, objects goes away, Ananda does not go away. That's all. Ananda does not go away because Ananda's source is here only. And therefore, ultimately, Vishaya reflects my own Ananda. They become nimitta. I told you last time, certain objects in the world just captures your attention. During that time, a sense of limitation, etc., which you are feeling with yourself, centered on yourself, gets dropped. That's all. This is happening. Anything, any object which captures you, at that time, this obstacle in your mind that I am a limited being, etc., gets dropped. When that obstacle gets dropped, you are enjoying yourself, a full person. And that happens both the time. During waking state also it happens. Sometimes during deep sleep state also it happens. Basically that obstacle goes away. That I am a limited being goes away. It's a projection of mind. Mind resolves in deep sleep state. That goes away. So you enjoy yourself. You enjoy your full self. Anyway, so ultimately, basically Vishaya gives a joy. That's my own wrong perspective. And therefore, then definitely, that's how they became a source of dukkha, source of sorrow. Because you have looked upon them as a source of joy. And while acquiring, there is a dukkham, and then rakshane dukkham, you have to maintain them in the same fashion, then dukkham. Viyoge dukkham, definitely, because the source of joy goes away, you will feel sorrow. So you have projected them as a source of joy, then they become source of dukkham also. That's the thing. So Bhashyakara just says avidyakrutattvat. So avidyakrutattvat is just born of ignorance that basically they become a source of a sorrow. Drashyante hi adhyatmikadini dukkhani tannimittani eva. Dukkhani drishyante. Various sorrows have been experienced by the people. Adhyatmikadini. So adhyatmika dukkham, and then adi bhautika dukkham, and adi daivika dukkham, in which also there is a separation, there is a loose, the contact goes away. Like health has a contact with me, with my body right now. When they are separated, becomes source of dukkham, adhyatmika dukkham. Health is associated with my body right now. When I lose a contact of health, definitely there is a dukkham. So that's a adhyatmika dukkham. And then adi bhautika dukkham, some family member, suppose some dissociation happens due to some prarabdha, person goes away from your life. Again separation, dukkham, adi bhautika dukkham. Adi daivika dukkham also. When such a beautiful weather is there, I am in contact with such a beautiful weather, sukham. And something else, the rain comes or cloudy, remains cloudy, then definitely you become unhappy. So this is how adhyatmika adi dukkhani api tan nimittani. So basically tan nimittani means pain caused by the separation or loss are experienced by the people at all the levels, adhyatmikam, adi bhautikam, adi daivikam. In fact, you need not lose an object. You need not be separated from object. Very thought of a loss of a person, object, situation brings sorrow. That's what happening to our great hero Arjuna, right? The very thought of a losing Bhishma and Drona has brought the sorrow. They are still there. But still he is grieving as if they are gone. So you need not lose an object basically. The very thought of losing itself can bring this kind of a sorrow. But then Bhashyakara says, Yatha iha loke, tatha paraloke. Api iti gamyate eva shabdat. Because it has been told here, Dukkhayonaya evate. They are the source of sorrow only. Means anywhere you go. And then there's still the sense objects and the contact between sense objects and sense organs will always bring this dukkham. So then we feel, well, generally we have an impression that when we go to the heaven, etc., then we will drink that nectar, etc., and then we'll be happy, etc. That's not like that. Anywhere you go, that's what Upanishad says, yatha iha tatha amutra. Whatever is here, the same way it is anywhere. Ultimately, the contact between sense organ and sense objects definitely results into sorrow only. So this is how Bhashyakara says that. Then says, na samsare sukhasya gandamatram api asti. Iti buddhva vishayamurga trishnikāyaha indriyāni nivartayet. Na samsare, in samsara, means, well, in objects, in anatma, objects, or in situations, in people in general. Sukhasya gandamatram api asti. There is not even an iota of a happiness. Iti buddhva, as such, this anatma anatma cannot become a source of a joy. That has been very beautifully said in Chandogya also. Yovai bhuma tat sukham na alpe sukham asti. Yovai bhuma, that which is limitless, which is bhuma means Brahman. Yovai bhuma tat sukham, that which is Brahman, which is limitless, which is Atma, is sukham, is a source of sukham. Na alpe sukham asti, which is an object of knowledge. Anything can become an object of knowledge if it has a dimension, if it is limited. Limitless thing can never become an object of knowledge. No, Swamiji, space is an object of knowledge. But here you are seeing a space this much. In limitless space, you are not able to make it as an object in your mind. A thought has an object, is always limited, naturally. So, na alpe sukham asti, which is an object of knowledge, which is anatma, can never have a sukham. So, yovai bhuma, that which is limitless, that atma, alone is a source of sukham. Very beautifully said. So, na samsare, means in this anatma vishaya, well, which are, well, in terms of objects, person, situation, sukhasya gandamatram api nasti. Not even an iota of happiness is there. Iti buddhva, keeping this in your awareness, this is very important. Knowing is not important. We know. In fact, in most of the classes, in one or other way, this discussion will be there. But that does not remain in our awareness. That's a problem. So, iti buddhva means keeping this thing in our awareness. Vishaya mriga trishnikāyaha indriyāni nivartaye. Vishaya mriga trishnika. Vishaya, the sense objects, have been compared with mriga trishnika. Mriga trishnika means basically mirage water. So, just as mirage water cannot satisfy your thirst, think it's a water, but it is mirage water. It cannot satisfy your thirst. Same way, these sense objects are like mirage water. They cannot satisfy your thirst of happiness. That's what they say. So, Vishaya Mriga Trishnikayaha, since it is like this, Indriyani Nivartayet, turn away your sense organs. Now, that's a problem. Turn away sense organs means what? Should I sit in a Nirvikalpa Samadhi or what? Because anywhere, I turn away attention from one object and look on this side, there's another object. All the world is filled up with all sense objects only. Right? You contact the world through sense organs. They are all sense objects. So what does it mean? Turn away your attention from these sense objects. Well, basically, don't lean upon them. Don't become the objects of attachment. Very beautiful process is there. How a given object becomes an object of attachment. There is a process given by Bhagavan himself in second chapter. I will talk about it when next verse comes also. So basically, I superimpose upon object something by which, well, definitely I become look upon them as a source of happiness. And that is called Shobhanadhyasa in our Vedanta. Shobhanadhyasa means basically you look upon a given object as a source of a peace, security or happiness. That's what it is, which is not there. So that is adhyasa. That is how it is superimposition. Superimposition very well definitely is this. And so don't superimpose upon any object that as a source of peace, security or happiness. That is called nivartanam. That is called turning away from the sense objects. Not really turning away means going away from the sense object, but it is not possible. You are going to be in the world, sense organs are there, there will be a contact of also will be there all the time. Only in your understanding you remove that superimposing upon objects that it is a source of a peace, security or happiness. That is called turning away the attention. So anyway, so Vishaya Mrga Trishnikāyaha Indriyāni Nivartayet. The seeker, well basically he has to withdraw this, he has to definitely turn away his sense organs like this. Anyway, then says, Na kevalam dukkhayonayaha adyantavantaha cha. These are not, the sense objects are not merely a source of a sorrow, but adyantavanta, they are temporary also in giving you happiness. We have already discussed that. And then word meaning has been given. Now, adyantavantaha, adi antavantaha. What is adi? Bhashyakara says, bhoganam adihi vishayendriya sanyogaha. Bhoganam adihi, sukhanam adi. When the pleasure is, beginning of pleasure is what? Beginning of pleasure is a beginning of a contact between sense organ and sense object. Right? Beginning of pleasure is beginning of a contact between sense organ and sense pleasure. Sense object. That's all. That's a beginning point for a joy or a pleasure. Antaha what? Tad viyoga. Tad viyoga means Vishayendriya viyoga. So, a contact goes away between a sense organ and sense object, while then viyoga arises. That's true. Musician is there, and the music is also going on. You are also sitting there. Ears are also there. But suppose there is a hearing aid, and then battery goes down. Enough. That's all. Immediately, because the pleasure of music won't be there for you. So this is how it is. So Bhashyakara says, Bhoganam adihi vishayendriya sanyogaha. Bhoganam antaha vishayendriya viyogaha. So the viyoga, the dissociation between the sense object and sense organ is viyoga. That itself is a, antaha. Antaha means the end of pleasure. So that is how adyantavanta. It is temporary pleasure. It has a finitude. Ataha adyantavanta means ataha means therefore samsparshajaha bhogaha adyantavantaha. This bhoga, the pleasures are adyantavantaha. Bhashyakara gives one more meaning. Anityaha, temporary. Madhyakshana bhavitvat ityarthaha. Madhyakshana bhavitvat means for intermediary duration it is there. It has a beginning and it has an end. He Kaunteya, O Arjuna, na teshu samsparshaja bhogeshu buddha ramate. And therefore, the wise person or the discriminative person, a seeker who has a discriminative capacity, and or else a wise person, does not revel into this bhoga, this sense pleasure. So Bhashyakara also gives both the meanings. Buddha is equal to viveki avagata paramartha tattva. Avagata paramartha tattva. Ava plus gam dhatu has a meaning to know. Avagataha, known. Paramartha tattva. So avagatam paramartha tattvam yena saha avagata paramartha tattva. The person by the person who this paramartha tattvam, the reality about oneself is known. Both the ways. You and me are also know paramartha tattvam. Really. And wise person also know that Atma is Brahman. We also know Atma is Brahman. But one has a discriminative capacity and one does not require discriminative capacity because he knows he is a source of ananda. That's a wise person. Wise person knows that the source of happiness, source of existence, and source of consciousness is me alone. That's all. He is clear. And therefore, he does not require a discriminative capacity. Well, these are all, the sense pleasures are definitely, ultimately causes of sorrow and all that. I should not revel into that. That kind of a thing is not required. Spontaneously, he is not, his mind does not go into this. He is free from the attachment. But the Viveki, the person who is still in the process, who has still, after knowing that Atma is Brahman, still he says the body is Brahman because of the habitual error, because of mechanical thinking, mechanically only. Mechanically we take body as Atma. Even after a class of 1 hour or 2 hours, suppose, if it has been very nicely expounded that Atma alone is Brahman, and once we just get up, and it just occurs that the body is so spontaneously it occurs, right? So something is left over, and that is nididhyasanam, etc., which makes a reality for you. The knowledge gives you a fruit of knowledge when you do nididhyasanam. Knowledge is there here, but it has not given you a fruit. It has not given you its result. The result of knowledge only comes when person definitely does this nididhyasanam, become free from the mechanical thinking of taking the body as a self, etc. Then definitely he also becomes a wise person. Anyway, so na teshu ramate buddha viveki avagata paramartha tattvaha. So atyanta mudanam eva vishayeshu ratihi. Bhashyakara says atyanta mudanam, extremely foolish people will have, they expect the sense pleasures, etc., to continue, and they indulge in that sense objects basically to, but otherwise this wise person will not have it, and the Viveki also will not have it. These people basically, the people who take the sense objects as a source of joy, they are addicted to that actually. So due to addiction, they always look upon them as a source of joy. And Bhashyakara says, Yatha Pashu Prabhutinam. Like animals, etc., don't have a viveka. These people also who revel into all this or indulge into sense objects, they also do not have a viveka, etc. Wise person basically have a viveka. It is not that wise person does not enjoy the sense objects. No, he enjoys very much. He enjoys. But definitely, when sense objects go away, he will not feel a loss. Because ultimately that becomes a nimitta of bringing his own swarupa. And therefore, so because of prarabdha, he may get a nice bhiksha, etc. Everything is possible. But so he enjoys. But basically, he is ready to lose. So they always say, the wise person is a person who is mentally prepared to lose what is losable. Wise person is a person who is mentally prepared to lose what is losable. What is going to go away, he is ready to lose. He will not have any shock, definitely. So this is how it is. If that understanding is not there, then I am loose, definitely. So if that understanding is not there, that I should be ready to lose what is losable. If that understanding is not there, I am a lose. And therefore, wise person will not be like this anyway. So, avagatam paramarthatam yena saha, this wise person definitely is ready for that. This is the bhashyam. Now let us go to the next verse. Shaknoti haiva yassodhum praksharira vimokshanad kama krodhodbhavam vegam sayuktassa sukhi naraha. This is a very beautiful verse. Some of the verses in Bhagavad Gita basically, reveals that Bhagavad Gita, one of the topic of Bhagavad Gita is a psychology. And the entire psychology of the Bhagavad Gita is in terms of raga dvesha, handling. That's the only thing. And so management of likes and dislikes, not at this verse, several verses. I will quote few verses also for you. So the management of likes and dislikes have been talked about as another important subject matter of, other than Brahma Vidya, of course, is this management of likes and dislikes, a basic human psychology. And Bhagavan gives puts an emphasis on this managing likes and dislikes, neutralizing likes and dislikes, by showing them they are the greatest obstacle in a human pursuit. And this is the verse for that. Of course, verse 23 in the chapter 5. Before that, in the second chapter, there also Bhagavan talked about this, gave emphasis on neutralizing these likes and dislikes, otherwise they are the obstacles of a human pursuit, etc. Dhyayato Vishayan, that's there in the Sthita Prajna section. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Vijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammohaha, etc. etc. So Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha. Pumsaha is a seeker or a person. Vishayan Dhyayataha. So basically he revels in his mind about certain objects and connects those objects with a happiness. So Dhyayataha. So bringing a certain objects in his mind repeatedly. That's a dhyanam. That's a dhyanam. In a meditation we do the same thing. Of course that object is different. Object is God here, but here in this case, Pumsaha is a person, well, definitely revels upon certain objects and he connects those objects with a happiness which he is seeking. And once he connects for some time, well, Sangaha Jayate, attachment to that object arises. So Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Vishayeshu Jayate. Will born, is born. Then after attachment to that object, what will arise? Sangat Sanjayate Kama. Naturally, once you gain an attachment of a given object, you will have a desire to acquire it. So a desire arises, Kama arises. And the desire also gains an intensity, force. They call Vegaha here in this verse. Force. Desire, a simple desire, we are going to discuss about desire at length. So desire also need not. If you don't fulfill desire, that's also fine. Once it becomes an intense desire, you will definitely want to fulfill it. And an obstacle to an intense desire will be, if the obstacle is there, that object, person, whatever it may be, becomes an object of anger. Because it becomes an obstruction to your fulfilling intense desire. And therefore, Kamat Krodha Abhijayate. From this Kama which is unfulfilled, from that intense desire which is unfulfilled, well, Krodha arises, anger arises. And then Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha. Bhagavan ultimately said, Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. This person is living, he is a human being, but he is no more a human being. Ultimately his discriminative capacity and everything is lost. So he is as good as Bhashyakara says, Pashu Prabhuti Na. He is like animal. He is animal in a human form. That's all. So human being as though is destroyed, it has been told. So that's how a warning has been given to handle this Kama and Krodha, Raga and Dvesha, etc., likes and dislikes. This in second chapter. Third chapter also. Kama eshaha, Krodha eshaha, Rajoguna samudbhavaha, Mahashano, Mahapapma, Vidyenam, Iha Vairinam. So Kama eshaha, Krodha eshaha. This alone is a desire, this alone is a anger. Bhagavan looks upon them as one thing alone. Because a desire which is obstructed becomes an anger. And therefore, there is one thing. Bhagavan uses a singular. So he does not, otherwise he should use a dual, right? Kama and Krodha both. So you should use the dual, but he doesn't. Kama eshaha, Krodha eshaha, Bhagavan says. This is anger, this is desire. Rajoguna samudbhava, born of Rajoguna. Mahashanaha, glutton, eats lot. Mahapapma, great sinner. Viddhi, may you know Arjuna, Iha Vairinam. In your life, in this human form, these two are your enemies. Living along with you in your body itself, in your mind itself. This Kama and Krodha, both are there. So third chapter also, Bhagavan talked about that. Then in 16th chapter, I think, Bhagavan said that Trividam narakasedam dvaram nashanam atmanah kamakrodas tatha lobah. Tasmad etat trayam tyajet. Arjuna, may you become free from these three, a group of three. It is threefold enemies. What is that? Kama, krodas, tatha, lobha. Kama, krodah, lobha. Desire fulfilled turns to greed. Desire unfulfilled turns to anger. And therefore, this ultimately it's desire only, which is like this. So, kama, krodah, lobha, tyajet. Because trividam narakasedam dvaram. This threefold gateway is a gateway to that hell. What is that hell? Atmanaha nashanam, which destroys yourself. So narakam is not some kind of hell Bhagavan is describing. Nashanam is basically destroying yourself. You had a chance to basically know that you are the source of happiness. Well, ultimately there is a potential in a human being to know oneself and become free, right? Gain freedom. But that is gone due to these three enemies present in the mind. So everywhere, Bhagavan basically, talks about managing likes and dislikes, etc. And by managing these likes and dislikes, etc., well, or desire, anger, kama, krodha, etc., a normal person can overcome any psychological problem. And that he or she may have. Such problems are basically natural. And that is what they all appear in the satsanga question. What to do, Swamiji, I am an angry person. What to do, I am a jealous person. What to do, I am a I am having a lust. Or what to do, I am, like this. Several things are there. So basically, I am a greedy, I am jealous. These are the questions we have. So that's a psychological, these are the issues we have. These are the psychological issues we have. And so this is a normal psychology. Having this kama krodha. So ultimately, irsha, everything is ultimately related to this likes and dislikes only. Ultimately, two are there. That is how in Puranas also they always describe in a pair. Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and then Shumba and Nishumba, and then Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, like that. They're a pair. Enemies are in pair, basically. So these two, kama krodha or raga dvesha, they only manifest in form of irsha and this matsarya and everything. So first thing is kama. Because Bhagavan says, Shaknoti heva yassodum praksharira vimokshanat kama krodhod bhavat vegam. So we have to discuss these two enemies, the cause of these two enemies and the remedy. We have to discuss them. So what is kama first? Kama is a common word used for likes and dislikes. Or sometimes they say the thought process by which you desire an object is called kama. The thought process by which you desire an object is called kama. And desire will be always in form of a likes and dislikes, naturally. You have a desire to get something, or you have a desire to get rid of something. Desire to get something, raga. Desire to get rid of something, dvesha, dislike. Or desire to retain something, raga. Desire to avoid something, dvesha. But it is desire. So, raga dveshas are desire. Raga dvesha themselves are called, that is a desire or kama. So raga dvesha, and such a raga dvesha produces vega. That's what Bhagavan says here. Vega means a force. So, and symptoms which indicate intensity of a desire. So if force is there behind that kama or a desire, or a likes and dislikes, then that desire becomes a binding desire. If force is not there behind the desire, you can retain those desires. Thousands. Desire is not a problem. The force behind the desire is a problem. So Bhagavan says, kama krodod bhavam vegam, force, intensity. That one has to take care of. So basically, so it says here, so how to decide whether that intensity behind the desire is there or not? Whether the desire is a binding desire or a non-binding desire. If intensity is not there behind the desire, it is non-binding. If intensity is there behind the desire, it is a binding desire. What does it indicate? If I have a particular desire, and if it is not fulfilled, and if I don't get upset, it is a non-binding desire. Intensity is not there. If I get upset, if it is not fulfilled, and if I get upset, it's a binding desire. That's all it is. So basically, Bhagavan says you should do something by which you lose the intensity behind the desire. That's all. Let desire, you keep the desire, but the intensity should go away. That's what Bhagavan says here. So I mean, a binding desire should be converted to a non-binding desire. That's all it is. And there is a scheme in the Shastra given by which I can be having a likes and dislikes, but non-binding. I like something, yet non-binding. I dislike something, but non-binding. If they are fulfilled, fine. Not fulfilled, don't get upset. Well, I can keep those likes and dislikes. In fact, it's a glory of a human mind. It's a glory. As an individual, it's a glory that you like something, I like something else. You like one fruit, I like some other fruit. Or you dislike something, I dislike something. But those likes and dislikes, if they are not fulfilled and you feel that you are going to be upset, or you are upset by not fulfillment, then you have to get rid of such non-binding binding desires. So our whole scheme, which I am going to show in a stages, is to convert the binding desire into non-binding desire. I mean, in other words, the intensity behind the desire, we should be able to lose. Desire, let the desire or ragadvesha be there. So, Bhagavan says, Kama Krodhot Bhavam Vegam, the force behind the desire, indicates it is a very intense, and so such a desire, if not fulfilled, definitely results into anger also. So our objective is to make the desire free from such force, basically. That's the thing. And Bhagavan says, Prak Sharira Vimokshanat. Prak, before. Sharira, physical body. Vimokshana, releasing. Before you release yourself from this physical body, means before you die. Before you die, you should be free from the force of this likes and dislikes. I mean, that's your objective. Before you die, at least have this objective in your mind, that you want to be free from this intensity of likes and dislikes, or the force behind likes and dislikes. Anyway, and one who is able to do sodhum shaknoti, one who is able to master this force, born of this kama krodha, who is that person? Who is a fortunate person who has removed that intensity or the force behind likes and dislikes? Desires are there, but intensity is not there. He is independent of fulfilling or not fulfilling also. He does not get upset. Who is that person? Naraha. Bhagavan says Naraha, human being. That meaning does not suit. All of us are human beings, but we are all bound by our likes and dislikes, by our desires. We are under the sway of our own desires. If they are not fulfilled, we get upset also. So who is this Naraha? We have to take it as a mature person who is knowing the cause of the intensity of desire and who knows to address this problem also. Such a mature person is called Naraha. So who is not aware of this problem, this intensity of a desire, and who is not able to address also, is called Balaha, child. It's called Balaha, immature. That's how in Kathopanishad, Yamaraja uses the word this Balaha. He says at one place, Nasamparaya pratibhati balam pramadyantam vitta mohena mudham. Vitta mohena mudham. This person is balam, immature, mudham, foolish. Vitta mohena is deluded by this money. I mean, he is deluded by the sense objects. He has the likes and dislikes and he wants to fulfill them, etc., etc. So, Naraha means a mature person who can address this problem and who is aware of the cause of the problem also. He is a Naraha. But why should I address and overcome this problem? Why should I do that? Saha Sukhi. He alone is a happy person. I need not have to give a description. One who is free from anger and one who is free from the intensity of the desire, he's a happy person. He fulfills his likes and dislikes, and if he could not fulfill, still he is happy. Well, he is a happy person all the time. So, that does not require any description actually. Sahasukhi means he is a happy person, one who is free from this intensity. And Bhagavan says, Praksharira Vimokshanat means, well, it indicates something else also. Until death means what? Means the intensity of the desire, all these likes and dislikes, etc., they can appear, such intensity appear at any time till the death. That's what it says. Otherwise, why should Bhagavan says, before death also if you can overcome this issue? Means this issue is such a issue which will be there throughout the life. Anyway, so Ragadvesha, and that we know also. Swamiji, I listen a lot of classes, but I'm still having an anger. We say that also. I'm listening to these classes, but Swamiji, I'm not free from the desire. Still I have a desire for objects and these and that, So that issue seems to be a very big issue, it looks like. So Ragadvesha operates actually throughout our lifetime and until death. So just as a force of hunger, thirst continues throughout the life, force of likes and dislikes or desire, anger continues throughout the life. And so the Vega, that force, definitely takes place. So we have to tackle now this issue after half an hour. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.